Manchester United 2, Tottenham Hotspurs 2, and the game ended in a draw, and Tottenham will probably be, or at least feel, hard done by because they were the better team. They came to Old Trafford and their performance from Tottenham actually was very surprising. They were more dynamic, they had better possession, they controlled the game more than United, and in fact, United looked like the away team. Tottenham looked like the home team. Tottenham looked like the team that had the patterns of play. United, no patterns of play. United looked like the team that were relying on moments. And it made me think, which out of these two managers look like they've been managing their team for 3 or 4 months? And which out of these two managers look like they've been managing the team for about 18 months? Because to me, Postecoglou looked like he's been managing that Tottenham side for at least a few years. The way he's got them to play in a very short space of time compared to what I see Ten Hag is doing for Manchester United right now is like night and day. Night and day. And today's performance by Tottenham, with I think 5 out of 6 of their front players missing. So they had players unavailable and they still came to Old Trafford, and I think the game ended with them having at least 65, maybe even 70% possession. There's a lot to talk about today because apart from the 2 goals United scored, I don't think United did anything else in today's game. And like I said, we're going to have to talk about Garnacho's performance, the midfield performance, the team selection, and of course the manager again today is under immense pressure from my perspective. I'm glad Rashford got into the team sheet, but once again, I think the front line from United were just not good enough. Played better than they have played before, some of them, but simply not good enough. We were outplayed today by Tottenham. If you're not... who are missing a lot of players, and we have to talk about it. As usual, guys, before we go into the details, smash the like, turn on the notifications, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe below. It's a brand new football channel where you simply come here after the match with a drink, with a smoke, whatever you're doing. We have a debrief, we have a post-match analysis. We have a motto where we say what we see, not how we feel, as much as I possibly can. And I always say that because we're all humans and we're all biased in some ways, but I try to look at things as objectively as possible. Yes, we have our favourite players, and sometimes having that bias and having favourites means you cloud your assessment. Your view of the game is therefore biased, right? And I try my best to be objective as possible. So we say what we see, not how we feel on this channel. But welcome. Let's have a chat about the games. Smash the like I said before. Now, in terms of the lineup, I'm very surprised to see that he went with Garnacho down the right. And I'm not quite sure what's going on with Martial, but I'm nervous about Hojlund in the sense that the more I watch Hojlund play, the more I feel that, yes, he's young and yes, he can improve, but he's shown to me that he's lacking certain fundamentals that I think are will be hard for him to improve on as time goes by. I think his general football IQ and his movement and his mobility is not, so far, is not good enough for the Premier League. But I'm not going to be too hard on him yet because he's a young striker. But I will judge him the way I judge everyone else. If he's good enough to start for Manchester United Football Club, we need to be assessing him as a top striker. And Hojlund is not a top striker. He is not at this stage. And I'm not sure he will be. We bought him from Atlanta and he wasn't prolific then. He's never been prolific in his whole entire life. I think if you speak to his previous club or players that played with him in his previous club, I think a lot of them have said they're very surprised to see him end up at a team like Man United. So we spent over £70 million on this player who's so far he's not yet showing us or giving us a return. And we must be consistent. So if we're saying Anthony's not giving us a return, neither is Hojlund. So I have doubts about the manager anyway. So the team that he put out, the Eriksen and Mainu, I understand Eriksen and Mainu. I know Tottenham are going to be very dynamic and Tottenham are missing players, but I'm concerned, and we will always be concerned with Eriksen's legs. I think Eriksen has still the ability to make the passes and he still reads the game well. However, Eriksen now at this stage in his career, for me, he seems like he's just half a second short, half a second slow to the ball, half a second to spot the run, half a second into the tackle. He's just slowed down in his old age for me. And a game like this, I thought might pass him by. So I was a bit concerned to see Eriksen there. Mainu, Kobe, he's doing very, very well for his age. I like the kid. As usual, I'm always going to be conservative with my opinion when it comes to young people, because we've seen a lot of young players come through and not really live up to the potential. I'm surprised also to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka starting left back. Yeah, I'm very surprised to see Aaron and Dalot at the right back. You'd expect to see them, Dalot at left and maybe Aaron on the right. So, but I think for the large part, it sort of worked. Varane and Evans started at centre back. I'm fine with Varane and Evans at centre back anyway. So that was a lineup. Tell me what you guys think of the lineup. Tell me who you would have started, if you would have changed anything in particular. That team was good enough, and I will always say this, and not always say this because it does depend, of course. But for me, that team is good enough to beat that Spurs team that Postecoglou put out. It is. So it will always depend on how the managers set up and how the managers get their team to play. And lucky, so let's talk about the game now. In terms of the game, lucky for United, we started off with a bang. The perfect start. I'm glad that, like I said, the kid scored. You can see the emotion that he has, and I know United fans, we love to see that emotion, especially from a striker. First few minutes to score that goal, it settled us really nicely. Really good goal. A really good smash from Hojlund. I think it was a Bruno ball to Rashford. Rashford on the left. And as Rashford does many, many times, Rashford received the ball on the left. He wanted to cut in on his right foot to shoot. Runs into traffic like he does many, many times. One of the most frustrating things about Rashford and his, for me, lack of IQ is the fact that he's so predictable. He gets the ball and without fail, he cuts in, runs into traffic. He doesn't really want to release the ball. I'm like, sometimes just go for the 1-2, go for the give and go. No, he does it all the time and it's so frustrating. But this time, he ran into traffic. The ball somehow fell to Hojlund, smashed with his left foot, his favoured left foot, into the roof of the net. Quick start from United. You could probably argue that the defending from Spurs was not really good enough. It wasn't good enough. But like I said, quick start. United, we tried to start very quickly because of the manager's intention of making us a transition team. We do try to start quickly. We don't often score quickly, but we do try to. And today, it worked. Today, we managed to score very quickly. But I'll say that very quickly, even though it settled us within the first 3, 4, 5 minutes, I think it became apparent that Tottenham weren't here to play around. It became apparent that Tottenham were the better team very quickly. And within the first 11 minutes, I think Timo Werner had a header blocked. I think Tottenham had a corner cleared off the line as well by Dalot around the 11th minute. And Tottenham started putting their foot on the ball. The midfielders started putting their foot on the ball. They started passing the ball with more care, more intricacy. And it didn't take long for them to score. And now, this Richarlison goal, like, you can't blame... I'm not really going to blame anyone for Richarlison's goal. I mean, the defender who was marking Richarlison, you can probably, you know, or arguably blame. But it was a good goal. It was a really good glancing header. Richarlison leaped, timed it really, really well. And there's nothing that Onana could do for that goal. It was a really good glancing header. And that brings me to a point, actually, that I want to mention, and that's Onana. And I know Onana has made mistakes. And especially within the first, I think, let's say the first 3-4 games, 4 or 5 games in the first 1 or 2 games in the Champions League and the first 3 or 4 games in the Premier League, he made really big, glaring errors. However, since then, the last 10 games, he hasn't really made a mistake in the last 10 games. And I'm beginning to see a pattern forming where the United fans, no matter how well he plays, and it doesn't matter if the goal was his fault or not, there's now a rhetoric that's been formed, a hate almost, of Onana. When Onana has the ball, sometimes I hear some boos in the crowd. Or when we're not playing well, there's a attack on Onana. There's a lot of people saying Onana is this and Onana is that. And I'm thinking to myself, listen, Onana is not the reason why we play bad football, United. Onana is not the reason why our forwards don't score. He's not the reason why our midfield has so many holes in it. He's not the reason why today we had 30% possession. And I think once a rhetoric is formed around the player, once a lot of hate is being directed towards a player, he becomes a scapegoat for everything that goes wrong. Everything that goes wrong. And we do this all the time, whether it's Paul Pogba, Jadon Sancho, or maybe Onana. They become a scapegoat, an almost martyr, and an identity of all the thing that goes wrong. So when we're angry, we just focus on one player. And I'm thinking to myself, I heard a lot of people negatively talk about Onana today, and I'm thinking the 2 goals that United conceded today, neither of them were Onana's fault. So let's say what we see and not how we feel. Otherwise, we're going to let bias creep in. All right? Good goal from Richarlison, in my opinion. Tottenham had control of the game, control of the ball. A bit more, at least a bit more. Because up until then, it was like a basketball match. Up until then, it was 2 transition teams just trying to hit each other on the transition. A basketball match, as you would like. And that is the type of football that Ten Hag wants to play. The type of football where you have little control of the ball and you're just relying on exploiting the other team's weakness and space on transition. And that's it. And I've always said this, and I'll say this now again, you cannot win the league playing that football. And if you do win the league playing that football, it is not sustainable year on year. Your players will burn out very quickly. You have to be able to play football with the ball, not just transition or play football against team with high line. You got to be able to keep the ball, rotate the ball like a Man City, like an Arsenal, as well as play on a counter-attack or be good on a transition. Simple. It's really that simple. But yeah, and that's what you saw the first 20 minutes. Just 2 teams on a transition. 25 minutes went by, 35 minutes went by. Tottenham, like I said, started having greater control, greater influence on the ball. pinning United back. The midfield were just passing the ball from left to right. The left winger had it, gave it to the central midfielder, moved it across the pitch to the right winger. Right winger had it. If there were no options, they didn't force it, moved it back in field, moved it across, kept probing, kept trying to create, kept trying to find space. Something that United don't do very well. We force it a lot. And the reason why we force it a lot is because we play with certain midfielders like Bruno, who just wants to go for the killer ball, doesn't have the IQ to say, do you know what, let me rotate the ball, let me keep the ball here, rather than all the time going for the killer ball and therefore losing possession and putting us under pressure when there's no need to be. We play that type of football. And that's the type of football, for me, like I said, is not conducive to the players that we actually have. Not all the players can or want to or have the natural drive or even ability to play that type of football. That's another story altogether, to be honest. But Udogie almost scored an own goal with a header around that time. And towards the end of the first half was when Rashford scored his goal. And once again, we want our attackers to score. One complaint about our attacking line, apart from the fact there's little cohesion, we don't really play well together. And I don't understand what the manager's trying to do with his selection and what type of football he's trying to play with the players. I mean, we can go on and on. But the one thing we complain about is our attacking line don't score goals. So the fact that Hojlund and Rashford scored today is a really good thing. And it's a really good finish. I mean, it's a kind of 1-2 with Hojlund. Did Hojlund mean it? I don't know if Hojlund meant it or not. It looked a bit messy. But a 1-2 with Hojlund. You can argue also the defending. You can argue the defending for both our goals by Tottenham were not good enough. Just not good enough. But either way, Rashford, I think, was through the legs as well. Might have been through the legs. Really good finish. Glad the kid got a goal. Hopefully, because Rashford is a confidence player, he can kick on. But Rashford actually, at the front three, probably slightly just had the better game. I think at the front three, Garnacho, and I will talk about Garnacho a bit later, but the way that this kid can play, and I know what we use the he's young argument. So when he plays badly, we use he's only young. And when he does score a goal, we act like he's the best thing in sliced bread. And I want to be very objective when it comes to Garnacho. And I will just say this. Garnacho is a squad player. He's not a starter for Manchester United Football Club. He just isn't. He did nothing. I don't remember Garnacho doing anything in this match. And that is common for me to say Garnacho did nothing today. And even when he does score, he might score, but his 90-minute performance is usually very crap. And it's also the way that we see football. We see just because he runs really quickly, he runs really fast, and he tries to beat his man, we see that as positives, and so we judge him positively. We say things like, at least he tries to beat his man. When objectively, what you're seeing is somebody not doing anything for 90 minutes. And if you try to beat your man and find out you can't beat your man, you have to try a different tactic. You have to try to cut in. You have to try to hold the ball up. You have to try something different. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I just think that we get used to making excuses for other players. And I think that if someone like Jadon Sancho had been putting in the same level of performances as Garnacho, like today, did nothing. And if that was Jadon who just did nothing, just ran, and we would be tearing, a lot of you would be tearing your hair out. And on this channel, we have to be consistent and say Garnacho did not have a good game. He often does not have a good game. Anthony doesn't really have a good game. Our wingers don't really play well. And you can argue our better wingers, the Amad Diallos, the Sanchos of this world, are not getting selected ahead of wingers that are quicker, maybe have more pace and more power and more direct, but less ability. It's the way the manager wants to play. And it doesn't suit my eyes. I'm not the greatest fan of that direct hit, kick and run, heavy metal transition, sort of Liverpool type football. You know? But that was the first half for me, like I said. Second half started the exact same way as the first half finished. Tottenham on top. And it didn't take long. I think the first minute actually for Tottenham to score. And it was Bentancur. And the goal that he scored was actually similar to the goal that Hojlund scored in the first half for Man United. Left foot shot, roof of the net, went past the goalkeeper before the goalkeeper even knew the shot was coming. And once again, I saw some people talk about Onana. And I have to say this. If you're going to complain about Onana on that goal, you're going to have to complain about, you know, Tottenham's goalkeeper when Hojlund scored. It's the same goal. I mean, there's not a lot Onana could do. He literally rifled it into the roof of the net. It was a good finish. Because the rhetoric has started, because the story has already been written about Onana being not a good goalkeeper, let's be fair and let's not blame Onana for the 2 goals that we conceded today. Because neither goal was his fault today. You can talk about all the other goals he's conceded that were his fault, fair enough. But let's just keep it a buck, yeah? Please. Good goal from Bentancur. Like I said, Tottenham continued where they left off. They bossed the game. They controlled the game. United looked like the away team. Tottenham, at that time, around the 60 minutes, I didn't see United scoring at all. 70% possession around the 70-minute mark. United, like I said, no patterns of play. Spurs, intricate, one-touch football without a lot of their team. And this is what I'm saying, like, the game didn't get any better after that from a Manchester United perspective. McTominay came on. I could have called that substitution, very obvious. For Eriksen, Martinez, good to see him back, came on for Evans. We tried to hit Tottenham on the break a few times on the transition. Nothing really came of it. Later on, 94th minute, I think Scott McTominay had a free header. You can argue he definitely should have done better. However, United didn't really look like they deserved to even win the game. And if you were going to ask me, even as a Man United fan, honestly, Tottenham deserved to win that game. And I started the video saying, out of the 2 managers, Postecoglou looks like the one who's been managing Tottenham for 2 years. Ten Hag looks like he's only arrived here yesterday. Ten Hag should be doing a lot better with the players that he has. I believe if Postecoglou had the players that Ten Hag has, we'll be top of the league. We'll be top of the league. I think I'm now reaching the stage, reaching the point where I strongly believe now that we need to change course. I strongly disagree with the style of play and the way this manager sees football. From his lineup to the players that he wants to start with, to his substitutions, to the fact that everybody now is coming out and essentially saying that he is very bad at man management. From Cristiano Ronaldo, who says he doesn't know how to speak to people, doesn't respect him, he's not a good man manager, to Sancho, issues with Sancho, to issues with Varane, Casemiro. Donny now coming out. Ericsson has come out. You know, Ilanga is now saying that it's personal against, you know, the way that he was treated by this manager. All the best managers in the world, from Pep to Wenger to Ferguson, had really good man management skills. Knew that, you know, Eric Cantona can wear jeans. The rest of you guys have to wear a suit. Yes, equality is important and it's good to treat everyone the same, but you're not all the same. You're not all the same. So it's about equity of outcomes. It's about, yeah, this guy is, you know, he's going to be late, but he's our best player. It's about things like that, and Ten Hag doesn't have that. He doesn't seem like he has the connection with the players, and he's never built the connection with the fans. And like I said, I now fundamentally disagree with even the way he sees football. Week in, week out, I fail to see good attacking football from this manager. And I'm getting close to be saying that we need to change our approach entirely and move away from this manager. That's my opinion. I think I'm close to being Ten Hag out, because I don't see him changing his approach. I've waited and waited and waited, and I don't see it changing. I still hope he does change his approach, because he's human and humans can change. But I just don't see it, guys. We probably should have lost the game. We didn't lose the game. We still had opportunities to win in the end. On overall look and assessment of the game, perhaps a draw is just about right. Not given the control or dominance in possession of Tottenham, but given the fact that United also, even though we only had, I think, 2 shots on target, we also had opportunities that we did not take. So, yeah, in terms of man of the match, I would give it to Kobe Manu. He played decently today. Kobe played decently. I was going to give it to one of the back 4, but then, you know, we did concede 2 goals. I think Dalot played okay. I think Timo Werner had a bit of space down the left that he tried to exploit, but in general, I think Dalot did well. Aaron did surprisingly okay. But yeah, we just don't know. United as a football team can only get the ball and attack. We just don't know how to keep the ball, rotate the ball. That's a big problem. But yeah, that's my assessment of the game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought of the game. Say what you see, not how you feel. Just a bit of, you know, a bit too much hate going on with Onana. Like, if he's playing badly and Onana's making a mistake, let's say it. Call it out and we can talk about it. But when the guy is just having a normal game and he's conceding normal goals, let's not do that. Let's not do the whole, I'm going to put all my anger. Because that's what Ten Hag did when he lost the game against Arsenal. Sancho didn't even play. He wasn't even selected. And he decided to direct all of his annoyance and anger at Sancho and made Sancho the scapegoat. Let's not do scapegoats here. Let's talk about the game. No one really played amazingly well today for Man United Football Club. Yeah. But yeah, let's just keep it a buck. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. As usual, leave your comments below. Let me know your thoughts. As usual, have a nice day, have a nice week. Enjoy it. Even though, you know, United are probably gonna... If you're not...